Hey everyone, my name's Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm going to be talking about the Goodreads Choice Awards. This is the second part of this series where I'm talking about my reflections on each of the categories and also the ones that are nominated. I give like very small mini reviews and I tell you which one I'm voting for. So I'm going to be starting off with Best Graphic Novels and Comics. So I started to read Squad from NetGalley, but my ARC stopped showing the pages. And I really liked what I read until then. I really enjoyed The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea, which is also by one of the same authors for Squad. I think it's co-authored, at least there's two names on the cover. I didn't read Lore Olympus, even though everyone is, talking about that one. I did read The Girl from the Sea. That one was super sweet and just talking also about learning the new things about each other and sacrifices and feeling like you have to hide who you are and hide who you love. And I also read Extraordinary, which I liked. I basically read it after I read Vengeful and Vicious. I definitely don't know how well it stands on its own though. There's enough that you could read it if you hadn't read Villains and Vengeful. Oh, why do I keep saying villains? Vicious and Vengeful. But yeah, I'm gonna vote for The Girl from the Sea because that one was so cute and I just love middle grade graphic novels and I just want to support the heck out of them. The next one is poetry. I have not read any of these. I don't read that much poetry, to be honest. I wish I did. Oh wait, no. I read Chlorine Sky. I'll vote for Chlorine Sky. I read Chlorine Sky. I didn't realize, I knew that verse novels, I didn't realize that verse novels would be in the poetry section, but I'll vote for Chlorine Sky. Chlorine Sky was so emotional because it really delves into friendship and how hard friendship, how difficult friendship is when it breaks down, when you're trying to learn to be friends with someone. That one was emotionally just so touching. And now, Best Debut Novel. Let me just do an overview. I'm really intrigued, actually, with Best Debut Novel. I really liked a lot of these books. Honey Girl. Oh, I loved Honey Girl. I'm probably gonna have to vote for Honey Girl. Anyway, how many have I read? I've read The Gilded Ones, Winter's Orbit, Firekeeper's Daughter, She Who Became the Sun, and Honey Girl, so 5 out of 20. I'm worried that She Who Became the Sun in this category is also gonna pull some of the votes away from it, but we'll be happy if it makes both of them. Let's see, let's go. I'm not gonna do mini reviews of the ones I've already read. The Gilded Ones. If you really like this idea of, I've heard of Deathless, but I haven't read Deathless, but if you like the idea of the old guard and also want to have a feminist spin on it as well, The Gilded Ones really looks at monstrosity and girls and this connection between monstrous girls. That one is fantastic. I love that one so much. I read it basically, did I read it in 2020? I don't know. I read it a really long time ago. I totally forgot that it came out in 2021. I did come in 2021. Yeah, I totally forgot that it came out in 2021 because I read it so long ago. But I enjoyed the heck out of that one. And I think it's a series. Yes, Deathless won. The Firekeeper's Daughter. I love this one so much. To me, what really stuck with me for Firekeeper's Daughter is that it looks at this conflict between making change from an external perspective and making change within a community internally. So I really liked how this book really discusses that idea, this idea of justice and fairness and what it means to be responsible and guilty and to have duty within both of these kinds of spheres. She Who Became the Sun and Winter's Orbit, I already talked about those ones. Honey Girl. Gonna vote for Honey Girl. Honey Girl was so, it was so beautiful. It was lyrical in a way I did not expect. It is sapphic. It is a romance book. It is just so beautiful. The main character goes through so much with her own kind of navigating burnout, but also in the institutional racism in academia. And all of these wants to perform and to be kind of that model person of color in that scenario. Honey Girl was just amazing. As I said, lyrical. So many quotes of Honey Girl were absolutely fantastic. It just stole my entire heart, basically. And now Best Young Adult Fiction. So many good ones in this one. I don't actually know what I'm gonna vote for. So I read Perfect on Paper, Last Night at the Telegraph Club, Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating, Counting Down with You, Ace of Spades, Tokyo Ever After, She Drives Me Crazy, Firekeeper's Daughter, A Fall Love Story, You Have a Match, The Project, Yoke, and Yoke. So 12 out of 20 is also really great. Concrete Rose, like so many of the other ones are also on my TBR. Concrete Rose, I have the audiobook of. The Girls I've Been, I heard really good things about, and I also have the arc of that one. I've heard really good things about the Inheritance games. I really like Jennifer Lynn Barnes' other kind of series that I read. Oh, what is it called? I don't remember. I will put a cover up, and also I will leave a link below. Yeah. So, Perfect on Paper was really... Perfect on Paper gave me nostalgic vibes for Chicken Soup for the Soul. So where you write like, and you write in a question and then someone answers it, but it's like you also have a name, right? So I'd be like, Dear Adorkable, right? And I write my letter. But basically that one was so fabulous because it gave me all of those vibes, and it was just really emotional. The character development and the character detail in that one were fantastic. Last Night at the Telegraph Club, I might vote for this one. This historical fiction was amazing. Melinda Lowe is an author who is just absolutely fantastic. This one is features a Asian American character during kind of the Red Scare, it's also historical fiction. I don't know if I mentioned that one. And she's also queer. And I'm just gonna vote for it. She's also queer, and she delves with this fear of being exposed for her queerness and being also exposed, not even exposed, but like being accused of being a communist, basically without any cause, essentially just because racism. So she talks about figuring out your identity, but also realizing that your identity in a variety of different ways is terrifyingly dangerous for you and your whole family. And yeah, Last Night at the Telegraph Club like emotionally wrecked me. I adored Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. Adiba is such a like wonderful human being. Hani and Ishu have this kind of fake dating, obviously in the title, but they also have these kind of rivalry as well. I really enjoyed reading about the different ways that Hani and Ishu are able to get to know each other and get to know who they are, and also see their actions kind of and how they're perceived. Counting Down with You, amazing. Loved Counting Down with You so much. The character work that Tashi does is fantastic. Tashi is also a fabulous person. And yeah, I really, really loved Counting Down with You, honestly. It is a contemporary, and it was just the characters in it, and like the characters getting to know each other, and also the way that Karina is struggling with herself and her family and her perception of herself. Like all of those things were amazing. Ace of Spades, love Ace of Spades so much. I basically finished Ace of Spades in maybe a day because I had to read it. I want to talk about Ace of Spades so much, and specifically also the twists and the endings, but I can't. Ace of Spades was amazing. Basically, this category is also really hard for me to pick because I really loved Ace of Spades, and I really adored Tokyo Ever After. This one was like a quest for identity, discovering you're basically like a princess. So it had Princess Diary vibes. I did a cover Instagram recreation, which I'll leave the link for down below. It was just so amazing, and especially for me, this idea of being like a long lost whatever, or discovering your origins in general, those stories are really emotional for me. So Tokyo Ever After was like amazing. She Drives Me Crazy was a sports romance. Well, it wasn't sports romance. There's just a lot of sports because she plays basketball and the love interest is a cheerleader, so a lot of sports. But it was also rivalry to lovers, and that one was so well, like delved so deeply and so well into the rivalry aspect. I feel like some rivalry stories are kind of like, oh, you're my rival and we're like, not speaking, but this one really dug into the rivalry one, and so I just really love that aspect. Firekeeper's Daughter, where I talked about that one. A Fall Love Story was really cute because it talks about not only a love story, but talks about these two characters' families who are kind of competing. But what I really loved about A Fall Love Story is it also brings into the story the community of their family, and also the implications of the restaurants. They talk about the kind of political history and the political trauma, I guess, of some of the people in the community. They also talk about the racism that they experience. A Fall Love Story was also just so adorable. You Have a Match was really good too. I liked it definitely better than Tweet Cute. It was basically, what I loved about You Have a Match was the sister aspect. That one was amazing. I loved that one so much. Oh, I read The Project too. Did I not forget? I think I forgot to mention that I read The Project, but I did. But anyway, You Have a Match was just really great, and I also really loved the sister aspect. The Project was so fascinating. This idea, what I really loved about Courtney Summers' books and also about Sadie was that Courtney Summers has an idea and kind of runs with it and really explores all of the consequences and all of the little side effects of that idea, that kind of kernel of an idea. Yoke was amazing. Also a huge sister-themed book. But Mary H.K. Choi is just one of those authors that I really love. I loved Permanent Record. I loved Emergency Contact. I loved all of those books. And Yoke was just so deeply delving into sisterhood and like resentment and guilt and love and all of those different things. It was such a fabulous book about sisters. This category is so hard for me to pick. I think I'm going to pick Last Night at the Telegraph Club, but there were just so many ones in this category that I want to pick. This one and the fantasy ones were definitely my hardest ones so far. The next one is Young Adult Fantasy and Science Fiction. I haven't seen any of these ones yet, so I read The Ones We're Meant to Find. Love that one so much. Oh, Six Crimson Cranes. Love that one as well. The Gilded Ones. Lore, We Free the Stars. Sky Beyond the Storm. Iron Widow, Our Violent Ends, Lost in the Neverwoods. So I read 9 out of 20, almost half. This is, so basically, this is another category where I'm just like side-eyeing a lot of things here. But, why are you pitting The Ones We're Meant to Find, Six Crimson Cranes, and Our Violent Ends against each other? Like, why would you, oh, and Iron Widow, like, why would you do that to me? This is so hard. Okay. So, The Ones We're Meant to Find, how much do I have to talk about that book? I love that book so much. It is sci-fi. It is also about sisters. It is just so fabulous. It talks about kind of like environmental climate in the future. I feel like I have to vote for this one, but I love those other ones so much too. Oh, and I read Namesake. I actually read half of these basically. Namesake, I really enjoyed. I definitely feel like I enjoyed Fable more though, so that was kind of disappointing. I enjoyed Fable so much and so surprisingly that I had huge hopes for Namesake, which kind of let me down. Six Crimson Cranes. Elizabeth Lim is an amazing author. She's so wonderful. Six Crimson Cranes was fantastic because it also has this idea of the Seven Swans story. And Elizabeth Lim puts so much of these other aspects and so much of these other stories into Six Crimson Cranes. It's also a story about like agency and about destiny and choice. And Six Crimson Cranes was so fabulous. Also the beginning of a duology, I'm pretty sure. Ripping my heart out. I talked about the Gilded Ones already. Lore, I wasn't a fan of Lore. I wanted to be because I'm so into this Greek mythology kind of trend. I feel like that I'm seeing more and more books about Greek mythology or Greek mythology retellings. I didn't really love Lore as much as I wanted to. There was a whole lot of name drop, a whole lot of things that had like happened before. And I almost felt like, did I miss a book? Refeed the Stars, amazing sequel. Love this one so much. I really loved Rehunt the Flame, so Refeed the Stars was a fantastic, you know, second book to it. Hafsa is just such a fabulous person as well. A Sky Beyond the Storm. I really enjoyed The Sky Beyond the Storm. It was definitely different than what I was expecting. I read the whole first 3 books basically within the span of like 6 or 7 months. So it was like bam, 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 bam. And so then I had to wait more for A Sky Beyond the Storm, and I enjoyed it, but it was just not what I was expecting, which wasn't a bad thing. It was just something that I had to be like, oh, we're moving in this direction. I'm now on that page. Our Violent Ends. Okay. How much do I have to talk also about how much I love Our Violent Ends? You'll see this everywhere in my social media. Chloe is just so fantastic. I have no doubt that Our Violent Ends is going to make it into the semifinals. Knock on wood. But yeah, I love it so much. These Violent Delights is amazing. The Romeo and Juliet retelling aspect of Our Violent Delights Our Violent Ends and These Violent Delights is so fabulous. The sequel was so satisfying. I wish that Goodreads Choice Awards would do like best sequels and best young adult sequels, because I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I know for my 2020 wrap up, I will do a whole category of sequels, because I feel like your emotional involvement is definitely different. Like, how is it fair to pit some of these, you know, third book series, fourth book series, other series, against like debuts sometimes, and also against series starters? I feel like your emotional involvement and your emotional soul, I guess, is just a lot more in series that you've read. And so yeah, that's what I think about this one. In general, that's how I feel, but also this specific category that pits some fabulous series starters against some of these bigger name series authors, people thing. Like, I don't know, I don't like those words. Iron Widow, love this one to pieces so much. It is just, it's queer, it has sci-fi, it is like feminist to the core, fiery, ambitious. I love this one so much. It is a fantastic. I also have a copy of Iron Widow, which you cannot see. Like, I just adore Iron Widow so much. The cover art is beautiful. Like, all in all, Iron Widow is one of my favorite books of 2021, period. And Lost in the Neverwoods. I enjoyed Lost in the Neverwoods, but I felt like I was missing some aspects that I really wanted to see, in the sense that it is a retelling of Peter Pan. And I also really loved Cemetery Boys, so I had super high hopes for Lost in the Neverwoods. Lost in the Neverwoods actually sold before Cemetery Boys, so after I really delved more into kind of my thinking after I finished Lost in the Neverwoods, that certainly impacts how I felt about it, because I felt like Cemetery Boys had much more of a developed kind of writing voice and writing style. What do I vote for this one? I'm gonna vote for Jones, The Ones We're Meant to Find. I really want to lend my support behind that, mostly because I feel like Six Crimson Cranes, Our Violent Ends, and Iron Widow should make it into the semifinals even though. Six Crimson Cranes, like, okay. I'm voting for The Ones We're Meant to Find, just because I need to support YA sci-fi anywhere I can, but like, that one hurt. That one physically hurt. Next one, I think this is the last one too, yes. Middle grade and children's. I think that middle grade should be its own category. I don't like that they put children's here as well. Like picture books or like chapter books. I want middle grade to be its own series, its own section, but I don't make the rules, okay? I would make multiple suggestions if I did. Have I read any of these? I haven't read a lot of middle grade books this year. That's certainly something I want to fix next year. You know, sneaky. You're getting a lot of sneaky insights into future projects of mine for 2022. Have I read any of theirs? Okay, I read The Last Fallen Star. I've read Never After, and I have read... That cover looks very similar to a book I have read. I have read AMARI and the Night Brothers. This is so hard. The Last Fallen Star I really loved because it had adoption rep, but I was kind of searching for a little bit more. It's the beginning of a series, so I think that that's kind of where a lot of my reservations were, because like the things I was searching for I think I'll find in the sequel. Never After, like, that was surprising how much I loved Never After. It has this like lyrical kind of sense where I feel like if you read this one aloud to a child, or if you also listen to this as an audiobook, it would be amazing. I think actually I listened to Never After as an audiobook, and it just had all of those qualities of like that kind of nostalgic thing I associate with middle grade books, like reading aloud and having that lyrical way of telling. Was so prevalent in Never After, which is why I really enjoyed that one. AMARI and the Night Brothers is the one that wins it for me, though. Like, I feel like I see so many things where it's just like, this one had a magical bureaucracy kind of thing, magical investigative stuff as well. In AMARI's world, is kind of using her status as, it's kind of like, I can't remember the exact terms, but basically... is using her magical powers as kind of a lens also to discuss being an outsider and also the prejudices without doing anything, essentially, kind of like racism. So I have to vote for AMARI and the Night Brothers, but this one is a fantastic series starters, and I feel like I hear a lot of things where it's kind of like, oh, you know, if you're looking for books that give you a similar vibe to very popular series that is taking over and, you know, it was written by a transphobic person, this to me had a lot of similar vibes to it, in the sense that it has like a much better, in my opinion, sense of this magical society, and the very delving into this like divide between in-group and out-group, and also between her, AMARI, as being an outsider. Like, I thought that was expertly done. It was so emotionally compelling as well. And that's the end. All in all, I do feel, so I feel conflicted. So on the one hand, some of the nominations were so diverse, and some of my favorite ones, like some of them were fabulous in a way I did not expect. And then some of it is just exactly what I expected, okay? The exact same authors I expected, that I see every year, basically. And yeah, I don't know. Half and half. So basically, I stand a little bit by the as I said, I will leave this TikTok of the one what I was doing, where I was thinking about like, oh, how do I feel this year's Goodreads Choice Awards before it happened, right? So basically, in the TikTok, you'll see that I filmed it before it happened, but yeah. And as a whole, I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it is, so I'm happy that it ended up not being as worse or as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, that makes me happy. But yeah, I love the ones that I really loved and read and adored, and I hope that they make it to the semifinals. So please let me know what you're going to vote for, especially for the 2 young adult categories. Those ones kind of ripped my heart out, and it would make me feel a lot better if I knew that some people were voting for the ones that I couldn't vote for, the fact that we only get 1 vote. And yeah, I'm really intrigued to see which ones make it into the semifinals. I am intrigued to see which ones you voted for. So I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully I'll be very happy about that one. And yeah, bye!